this is the amazing thing about this wine for me. Probably from a winemaking perspective, this is the most amazing thing about this wine, is that this is a wine which has a heap of sediment in it, yeast lees. And normally with the yeast lees, if you get a lot in it and it sits in the bottle over even a little bit of time, you often get a fair bit of bitterness on the palate. But this one doesn't have any. Instead, you've got just a creaminess. So, you know, think of lees stirring, where the winemaker's just got the lees sitting in the barrel or whatever, and they're stirring it up back into the wine. And you get that kind of creamy texture from it, like in a Chardonnay. This has that character in spades, but without any bitterness. It may just be the freshness because it's quite young, and the bitterness hasn't come out from the sediment yet. In any case, it really does that creamy lees character. In fact, if you want to know in a wine what yeast lees tastes like, try this, because that creamy sensation and even the smell of the slightly lactic, yogurty, creamy, kind of milky kind of character, that's yeast lees. That's what it smells like. So even if you're just interested in that, try it for that aspect.
And the other thing is that other wines I've had that have had this much sediment or lees or whatever in them often get really reductive on the nose.
Yeah.
And this is only very mildly so.
Yeah.
And not at all at the beginning when you poured it fresh, but only now once it's been sitting for a little while, you get slight amount of cabbage.
Yep.
Kind of thing. But a nice amount. It's not pushed too far.
Yeah.
You know, I don't mind a bit of reductive smell on the nose, but it's certainly not overpowering at all.
Exactly.
So how
I don't find it particularly reductive at all, actually.
No, it's only really coming out now for me.
Yeah, I think it's the youth of it, though. I think if you left this for a couple of years, it would start showing that character, the boiled veg and cabbagey kind of oniony, Brussels sprout, overboiled kind of character.
But this isn't a wine you'd...
But it's not a wine you'd...
Age.
Yeah, age. So that's the whole point. Drink it fresh.
Chill it and drink it.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny because it's a style that isn't... It's so under the radar in France. I mean, the pétillant naturel is a French style by name, but it's never held any regard in, you know, traditional kind of wine appreciation.
Do you think then there has been a bit of a renaissance in it with the natural wine producers?
Yes.
Because those are the ones I've had from France have been...
Yes. That's exactly
pushing
it.
a funky edge and
exactly it. It's because of
really
those
playing on it.
Yeah, it's because of those natural wine producers that have pushed this. Well, they've gotten into the style, and it's gone down well at wine bars, you know, in Paris and so on, and that's now international and very hipster as a style.
Do you think even before the hipsters picked up on the natural wine producers in France, they would, I don't know, would it be seen as a sort of rebellion against a traditional sparkler? Like if you're trying to do something that is...
It is. I mean, it fits the mold of a natural style of wine because it doesn't have the, I suppose, the winemaking practices around...
taking off the lees and all
yes,
that kind of thing.
And fining or filtering. I mean, it's natural in the sense of there's not much to it. Like you haven't even finished fermenting the thing, and you're already chucking it in bottle and then letting it finish ferment in bottle. So and that's, I suppose, something that is attractive to the natural wine producer because they're not adding any sulfur dioxide.
Less intervention.
Yep, less intervention. Yeah, so it fits that philosophy definitely, and yes, I definitely think that is the reason really why it's taken off, because a lot of the natural wine movement are very keen on that approach and therefore that style. Yeah.
Have they in France particularly, which are the main areas I've had them prior to Australia. Have they sort of been, have Pét-Nats been there in the background always, or was there a drop off in them? It just wasn't popular, and then with the rise of natural wine makers in the last 20 years or 30 years or so, they've come back and been revived by them, or were they always there and now they're just gaining attention?
They were always there, but I think there's been a renewed interest because of the natural wine movement. Crémant, in terms of sparkling wine production in France, Crémant just absolutely obliterates anything else in production quantity. And then of course you got, Champagne's got the name, but I'd say there'd be more Champagne probably than Pét-Nat in France even. So yeah, I think it's this natural wine movement that's pushed the style more. And I don't know the stats, but I feel at least Pét-Nat, there are not that many Pét-Nats compared to sparkling wine. There's way more sparkling wine, Crémant Champagne, than there is Pét-Nat in France. And in Australia or anywhere else. But Pét-Nat has the name now. It's the trendy style. So there's a lot of focus on it. So yeah, if you're going to go hipster wine, Pét-Nat.
How does this price point for this wine compare to others, either Pét-Nats in Australia or other natural wines in general?
Reasonably attractive. I think it's around $35-40 retail Australia, which for what it is, I think is pretty good. Obviously, we've got a disadvantage in Australia with imported Pét-Nats. So if you're elsewhere, you might seek out others. But at least their price, their value for money would be better than this. But I think this is a very good Pét-Nat, and this is something I would seek out on an international level, actually, just for what it has to offer in terms of its style. Yeah.
Point of difference with the flavours and the
exactly
varieties used in it.
For me, this is a perfect Pét-Nat, perfect Aussie Pét-Nat, because it is stereotypically Aussie in flavour. It's literally summer Australian fruit salad in a bottle that you then drenched a whole lot of yogurt, cream or something like that over, in terms of its flavour on the palate.
And then passion fruit on top.
And subtropical fruit, there's everything there. There's the pineapple, the apricot, the banana, the orange, the melon, the mango, the passion fruit. All of those things we're finding in this. They really are there. And then on the palate, the creaminess. And it's got good spritz, but it's not too, explosive, and it's got good acid, and it's not too heavy. I mean, it progresses well. It's just right for the style, and for filling that niche of the beach, the Aussie barbecue, at the weekend, the sunshine. It fits all those stereotypes really well. It's meant for the patio, apparently. I think, equally good in the park or at the beach or in the bush even, wherever.
Invokes, on the back label, invokes a quote from a stereotypical Australian song by Gangajang called This is Australia.
Out on the patio we sit, or sit as the original song goes. So there's clever wordplay there, which I would say is also a characteristic of the natural wine movement.
Tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah, a lot of playfulness with the cuvee names and things like that.
Very punny.
So yeah, if you're after an Aussie Pét-Nat, to be honest, I can't recommend one better than that. The La Violetta Patio Nat 2017 blend of Muscat and Riesling. Try it.